Did you see that? Do you want to be able to do something like that? Well, let's just go into it. Let's go now. Aim training
for dummies.
Alright, let's start this off by figuring out which aim trainer you should use. First of all, let's mark everything off that's not Kovacs or AimLab. Why, you ask? They worst. That's the truth. But also, they're not part of Voltaics. And Voltaics Voltaics is a tool that tracks your performance in Kovacs and AimLabs, acting as a third-party ranking system, where you play certain scenarios, and then you get a certain score, and you'll get a rank corresponding to that score. It's very useful for knowing where you're at relative to where you can go and where you have been. One thing I feel is pretty consistently overlooked in the aim training community is the visuals. I mean, if you're playing AimLab or Kovacs and it looks like this, you're gonna quit. I'd quit, you know? So my first recommendation has to be to find some nice visual and audio themes. To get you started, I'll put Matty Overwatch videos in the description. He's got a couple videos on themes, and honestly, you'll probably find something you like there in the first place. If not, it's pretty easy to find themes online elsewhere, like Twitter, for example. Don't go to Twitter, though, like Twitter. Another thing, outside of just themes, is a few settings that I see that are pretty standard, which is FOV is generally at 103 unless on, specific scenarios. Weapon model off, gun effects off, target destruction effects off. Basically, anything that can cause you visual clutter, you can turn off. I know I'm showing Kovacs, but all of this is also true for AimLab. On the topic of changing settings up, we gotta talk about sense. Yes, bound to happen, goddamn. Alright, sensitivity. This subject's pretty complicated, so I'm going to be pretty surface level on my coverage of it. Alright, before I talk about sensitivity too much, I want to talk about CM360. CM360 essentially is a universal sensitivity. It takes into account your DPI and your in-game sensitivity, and it shows you how many CM it takes to do one 360. You can find your CM360 by going to any number of websites. My personal favorite is mousesensitivity.com. Using mousesensitivity.com is pretty easy. All you do is you grab your game, Overwatch 2 for me, your sensitivity, 2.0 on most characters I play, DPI, I use 1600. That's actually all you need. And there you can see it, 43 CM360. If I wanted to check, I don't know, my tracer sensitivity, it's 3. Bam, 28 CM360. Now, some of you might be thinking, why are you using different sensitivities for different characters? Yeah, Tracer moves a lot more, but isn't that going to mess up your muscle memory? And that's actually quite a big misconception. Muscle memory actually doesn't matter that much for aiming, so you can change up your sensitivity all you want, within limits. There's a range of sensitivity where, outside of it, it gets really hard for people to use. This range is 20 CM360 to 80 CM360, and I highly recommend that you check your sensitivity, and if you're outside that range, change it into that range. Remember a few seconds ago when I said that sensitivity was a preference as long as it's in a certain range? Well, that was also a lie. Depending on which specific scenario type you're doing, you'll probably want to use different sensitivities, especially if you're going for high scores. There are, however, some situations where non-optimal sensitivities will end up helping you. But we'll get to that later. For now, the optimal sensitivities on each type of scenario is on the screen now. Pause if you want to see it. When should you use these optimal senses? Well, most of the time, aside from left, right, go. In the context of aim trainers, sensitivity isn't just how to control a mouse. It's also a tool that you can use to speed up your training. In some contexts, it's actually a good idea to use sensitivities that are bad for score farming. Generally speaking, a lower sensitivity will hide stability areas while isolating the arm, and high sensitivity highlights errors but allows for quick and smooth crosshair movement and can isolate wrist, hand, or fingers more. I went a little deeper into sense than I thought. Yeah, I know, I'm not your father, but this is a necessary part of getting better at anything. First and foremost, you need to have enough sleep. This is not a negotiable part of aim training. To boil it down, all the aim training you do flags pathways that get activated during sleep. Basically, if you don't sleep, You're not gonna get better. You're just not. Another important thing to think about is wrist, arm, and hand health. First, you're probably gripping that thing too hard. Your mouse, you weirdo. Second, you want to take 30-second breaks every 3 minutes you train, and a 5-minute one when you notice you get tired before you finish a run. Third is posture. Back straight, arm at a 90-degree angle, elbow isn't touching armrest, forearm isn't under desk. Fourth is wrist and hand stretches. Learn them. I'll leave a link in the description for some recommended ones that I use. 1 HP, they're golden, golden. A couple more things that are important for aim training are exercise, eating good, staying hydrated, and like physical and mental health. Listen. If you don't want to better yourself so you can hit some clips, dude. Nah, but for real, once you've played the benchmark, I forgot to talk about how to benchmark, didn't I? God damn it. Alright, real super fast benchmark tutorial AimLab edition. Open Voltaic.gg, log into your AimLab account and make one if you haven't already. Press play on the things. Bam! After you do the score will be automatically recorded and you're in. Okay, now that you've placed, you will have a general skill level assigned to each of your raw aim skills. And yeah, this general skill level given to you on each of your aim categories is a good way of finding big initial weaknesses. Why do you want to train weaknesses? Well, because aim skills are interdependent. Each builds off of each other. I personally recommend keeping everything within one rank of everything else. If you have a plat score, then get your silver scores up to gold.
I get up, I shower, I come to work, I work all day, I go home, I go to sleep. I get up, I shower, I come to work, I work all day, I go home, I go to sleep.
Alright, let's go over some routines I personally recommend. First, your core routines, the fundamentals. Obviously, there's the Voltaics Fundamental playlist, but I'd also recommend you try out the Voltaic Daily Improvement Method by LG56. Both of these playlists are pretty intense and can take a while, so do what you can and don't burn yourself out. Next is recommended scenarios from Voltaics. As you get better and learn more, you'll understand what specific scenarios are good for you, and this list is a great place to start. God, I sounded like a realtor. This is the part of the video where I tell you to watch other videos. Now you know I'm genuine and wanting to help you. Yeah. I'm just going to list out some recommended videos and playlists. They'll all be linked in the description. First and most important in my opinion is the Aim Training Crash Course by RiddBTW. It goes very into depth into each category and explains what it is, proper technique, and ways to improve. Secondly, the Voltaic Discord. You can ask questions and post VOD reviews. You can even find coaches there like Coach Ben, who helped a lot in the making of this video. Get his coaching right. Third is a video I highly recommend watching, which kind of inspired this one, which is Viscose's intro video. I cover some of the stuff she said, but she goes a lot more in depth into aim specifics and just in general. Fourth is interviews and aim sites. Watching these can give a good general understanding of how high-level aimers think and learn, and you could probably pick up some really good advice along the way. Reaction time and genetics don't matter that much for aim training, especially reactivity. Even in reactive scenarios, better technique will almost always beat out better raw reaction time. Something I struggled with a lot was comparing myself to others. Take it from me, don't compare yourself to others. It might take you 200 hours to get plat, or it may take you 10. Regardless, don't let your ego discourage you or get in your way. Don't score chase. You might get higher ranks, but you'll probably miss out on a lot of good fundamentals. Last, and honestly most importantly, you will improve. You may plateau, you may struggle, but no matter what, you will improve. Some key takeaways I want you to have from this video is play Kovacs or AimLabs, probably AimLab if you're just starting off, just because it's free. Use the third-party ranking system Voltaics to gauge your progress along the way. Recall the rule of the CM360. Seriously, watch some of the videos I recommended, especially Viscose and Ridd stuff. If you try out some of the routines I recommended and they take too much time, then reduce the amount of scenarios you do until you can do it consistently. Remember, play consistently, not constantly. You can always ask questions in the Voltaics Discord. And finally, consider grass? Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I want to turn this into a job someday, and every subscription is quite literally one step closer to that goal. Finally, once again, huge thanks to Coach Ben for helping me make this video. It wouldn't have been possible without him, and as per special request, show some love to his cat, Mr. Goose, in the comments.